Islam, the religion of peace. Are most of us too young to know, or are some of us too old to remember? September 11th, 2001, 2,977 people died that day. The mainstream media called them Islamic extremists. You might want to pause on the graph and look closer at the number of attacks and deaths. And the mainstream media claims Islam is a religion of peace, claims that Islam is inherently a religion of peace, frequently repeated by mainstream media and political institutions, warrant rigorous scrutiny when measured against both historical record and contemporary realities. Historically, Islam did not spread primarily through passive conversion or peaceful persuasion, but through sustained military expansion that absorbed vast Christian provinces across the Middle East, North Africa, and parts of Europe, replacing existing religious and political orders with Islamic governance backed by force. This pattern of conquest, while not unique among pre-modern empires, directly contradicts modern narratives that present Islamic expansion as fundamentally non-violent. In the present day, this tension between rhetoric and reality is magnified by visible political activism and unrest associated with Islamist movements, including violent protests, the burning of Western flags, and chants calling for the destruction of democratic nations such as Canada and the United States. Actions that are not isolated incidents, but recurring features of global Islamist mobilization. While it is essential to distinguish the individual Muslims from extremist actions, it is equally necessary to acknowledge that these movements consistently draw legitimacy from religious language, symbolism, and selective interpretations of Islamic texts rather than existing purely as secular political phenomena. The existence of large, organized, and well-armed Islamist forces, most notably Hamas in Gaza, raises a fundamental and unavoidable question. Why does a religion require an army? Religions grounded primarily in spiritual transformation do not necessitate standing militias, rockets, or paramilitary hierarchies. Yet, Islamist organizations routinely frame violence as a religious duty rather than a tragic last resort. This fusion of faith and armed struggle blurs the boundary between belief and coercion and challenges liberal assumptions about religion as a purely private or moral system. Moreover, the persistent defense of these movements by sympathetic states and transnational networks suggests that Islamist violence is not merely a fringe distortion, but a recurring political strategy embedded within certain interpretations of Islam. An academically honest assessment must therefore accept both blanket condemnation of all Muslims and the equally universal insistence that violence committed in Islam's name is related to Islamic thought. To ignore the historical and ideological dimensions of religiously framed violence is not an act of tolerance, but an abdication of intellectual responsibility. A serious discussion of peace, pluralism, and coexistence demands confronting uncomfortable evidence directly, rather than shielding it behind slogans that collapse under sustained historical and political analysis.
Oh, don't scare them, brothers. Relax. They're over here on purpose to be like, oh my God. Who's seen those videos where they're like, oh my God, the Muslims are taking over New York City? You seen those? You seen those? Let them know that we are taking over New York City.
Thank you so much for watching. We truly appreciate your time and support. Be sure to stay tuned for part 2, where we'll be diving into an important and thoughtful discussion on Islam and the Quran. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and share it with others so you don't miss what's coming next.